Alrighty guys, what is going on? My name is EJ and this is Anchor Overland. If you are new to my channel, please consider dropping a like and a subscribe. Both will help me out immensely. So, this is going to be a different kind of video. I am not going to be off-roading today, so if you came here for that, well, I have plenty of other videos on my channel all about off-roading and getting after it. But no, today's video is going to be something kind of essential that you should be constantly doing if you are an active off-roader, or just if you would just want to be a little bit more careful and a little bit more proactive with your Jeep. And that is, I am going to be checking and tightening all of my suspension and steering bolts and nuts. So, my last couple times off-roading, especially last time when I was in the desert, I'll put that video up here. It's when I was over in Ocotillo. I was hearing a lot of rattling and shaking going over some of these washboard roads. And rocks. So I am just going to be checking my suspension. From what I noticed, it was coming more from the front passenger side, so I will be focusing a little bit more on that. Yeah, I just want to know, just make sure everything is good to go and nothing is loose or has somehow backed off of its nut or bolt. It's one of those things where when you are off-roading or just going over bumpy roads in general, bolts vibrate and they shake and they come undone. Especially when it comes to more extreme off-roading, this stuff happens all the time. So, like I said, just gonna take a quick proactive stance and go ahead and check them yourselves. Now, if you don't feel comfortable or you don't have the tools to inspect your suspension yourself, I highly recommend going to your local off-road or Jeep shop. Dealership if you have to, just to do a torque spec on your entire steering and suspension system, because it can literally be the difference between life and death. But that's all I have to say for that, so let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so I've got my jack and my jack stands. Yes, they are Duralast, which, in case you guys don't know, is the AutoZone brand. However, I'm not particularly a brand whore. Now, don't get me wrong, I would love to have some Craftsman and some Milwaukee equipment, but when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I know that I'm safe using these jack stands and this jack because I have used them before. I put on my lift in my garage with these exact jack stands and this jack, so I'm not worried about it. Now, out of safety, I did come back here and I did chalk my back wheels with some 2x4. And then I do have a ledge back there that if I do roll back, my tires will catch it. Now, something else. Inside the Jeep, you want to make sure that your e-brake is engaged. That's going to help also ensure that your back tires don't roll. Now, yes, if you are going to do any type of work back there, if you're going to have the back end up, then yes, go ahead and drop your e-brake so you can rotate those tires if you need to. But I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to be lifting up the front end right now. So I got the e-brake on. So, let's get on the ground. Alright, so I am going to lift from the bottom of the pumpkin. It's a little bit wet. It's been raining lately. So, go ahead and bring back the jack. Get it lined up.
Alright, so I got it lined up under the pumpkin. Alright. Alright, so I've got it lifted with the jack stand. Now I'm going to set, I got it lifted the jack. Now I'm going to set the jack stand. I'm going to do it, you want to do it on a solid part of your frame. I'm doing it right here, just behind the cross member. Get it lined up, make sure it's straight, and now the other side. Once your jack stands are in place, you want to slowly turn back your release and rest the vehicle on those jack stands. All right. So now, come around and you want to verify your jack stands are in place. They are. And I am also going to leave my jack compressed under the pumpkin as an extra form of support. Now, you do not have to lift your vehicle on jack stands. Now, I want to extend my suspension a little bit just so I can get a better look inside of everything. However, I am going to torque it on the ground. You have to torque all your bolts on the ground, or essentially it can be loose, because you got to figure, while your suspension is compressed, or it's not compressed, is loose, the bolts might feel tight, but since it goes under compression, they might back off a little bit. So you just want to make sure that you are on the ground and the weight of the vehicle is on the suspension before you actually torque anything down, but you can hand tighten and just get it all tight. So I'm going to start my inspection, and I'm going to show you the things that I'm going to be looking at and the sounds that they can make. Okay, so I am starting with the front passenger because that is where I'm hearing the noise. So I am going to look first at the sway bar, verify that the sway bar is tight. I have seen personally the sway bar get backed off, just the bolt on the other side not be tight all the way, and it just backs off. So those all look good. Here you have the control arm. You want to verify that that is all snug, nothing loose. That all looks solid. Of course, you have your shock. Oh, that is loose. You see that? That is an issue. That should not turn. This is probably the clunking that I'm hearing. It's probably the bolt on the top of the shock, way up here, is probably loose. Yep. So this is a key example of why you want to do this type of inspection. All right, while I'm up here, I'm gonna look at the tie rod and all of the steering components. You got your steering stabilizer. This does have a plastic shroud on it. I did not touch this when I did my suspension upgrade, but still has the chance of getting loose. Now the good news is, if you have factory bolts and hardware still, all of the bolts have a paint marker which indicate its original position after being torqued down at the factory. So you can come and look at all of the paint and the corresponding on the bolt or on the body or frame, and look to see if any of those are ajar or if they back themselves off. Gonna take a look at my knuckle, and those are all good. Got my calcium nut. Just like I said, you are literally just doing a visual inspection and just touching everything. So let me come over to the driver's side, and I'm gonna do the same thing. So got the shock. Yep, this one's tight. This one is not budging at all. I am checking the control arm. That is good. Over here, same thing. I'm gonna be looking at the paint, and I'm gonna be verifying that none of the bolts have somehow managed to back themselves off. They all look good. And then I am going to be looking at the steering and the all of the axle ends that go into the tire, the wheel itself. So these all look really good. All right, so just like that, I have identified that my forward passenger shock is loose. That the bolt probably did not get torqued down all the way when I did my lift. And then over the last 2 years of me wheeling, it's just slowly backed itself off little by little by little. Now I will say, I did bring my Jeep to a garage, a trusted garage, a couple of months ago before going on a off-road trip. It was actually the Thomas Mountain Run I did with the San Diego Jeep Club. It's the very first photo I posted. It is way down at the bottom of my video list. I'll put that up here as well. So before that run, I did bring my Jeep to get everything torqued down. Now either one, they might have missed that shock, or they may have just tighten it down and it might just be loosened. I might have an issue with the actual bolt that screws into the frame. The top shock is held in by a bolt, so that might be stripped. I'm gonna have to pull it out and look, but we will see. Now something else that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift the Jeep back up in the air over the jack stands, above the jack stands, till all four wheels are off the ground. Well, not all four, but the front wheels. Okay, so I can do a shake test. So you just want to shake your wheels. You want to look for any excess play. So you can take both ends and just, now that's fine. That is just my front end turning because I don't have my steering wheel locked. So let me come back over to this side. I'll come over to this side and do the same thing. So that feels fine. That's the camera shaking. All right, so let me go ahead and lift up the Jeep a little bit more. And then I am going to come and I am going to pull off the jack stands. And now, very slowly, I am going to let the Jeep down. Okay, not that slowly. All right, so I know that this has to be, oh yeah, has to be tightened. So I am going to get the appropriate size tool for that. Alrighty guys, after a little bit of trial and error, found out it is an 18 millimeter. Now I want to show you guys just how bad this is. So let me peel this back. A little bit of a hassle, but that bolt is completely backed out. Like, that is a huge issue. That bolt could have fell out at any time and I could have lost my front shock. On the highway, on the road, that could have caused me to wreck. That could have caused me to lose control and wreck my vehicle. I am really glad I did not put this off. I almost put this off. So I implore you guys, go and check your stuff. Go and just do a visual inspection like I did. You don't have to put it on a lift or put it up on jack stands. Check everything. That is not okay. That is an eye-opener, guys. If that isn't an eye-opener for you guys, it should be. Just go and check your Jeeps. Go and bring them into a shop, get them looked at. So I am going to tighten this up using my 18 millimeter socket, and then I am going to torque it down once I find out the torque spec. Alright, so I have been spinning this bolt for a minute now, and it is not getting any tighter. So I am going to pull the bottom bolt out and let the shock fully hang to try seeing if that helps. I really hope that the thread on that bolt is not shot, because if it is, I have to hopefully it's the bolt, get a new bolt. However, if the hole that it goes into is stripped out, gonna have to go bring my Jeep to an actual garage to get fixed, to a mechanic. Okay, after many trials and tribulations, I was able to get the shock disconnected from the bottom bolt, and I am going to try to get the top back in place. Hopefully this works. Let's see. Okay, good news. I was able to get that top bolt to go in and to tighten down. So now I have the fun job of compressing this shock to fit back in this slot. Let's get to it. Alrighty, as you guys can tell, I'm a little bit sweaty and rosy cheeked, but after a little bit of persuasion, I was able to get the shock compressed enough. So what I actually did, little pro tip, is lift up the Jeep by the axle, and then you put a jack stand under the body, and then you let the suspension back down, and the suspension will droop because you have the body supported by the jack stand. Gives you a little bit more space so you don't have to compress the shock as much. But after that, you get the shock reinstalled, and then I have the upper and the lower torqued down to spec. For that, just use Google, or if you have an aftermarket suspension like I do, well, aftermarket, it is a Mopar lift. I just referenced the instructions to see how much I had torqued those down to. But I hope this video showed you guys the importance of checking your suspension and your components. I already inspected the rear. The rear is perfect. Nothing going on back there. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing that I checked, because I am planning on going off-roading this weekend, and who knows, this weekend could have been the day, that shock decided just to fully back off of the little bit of bolt that was holding in the hole, and I could have lost that shock and did some serious damage to my rig. So I hope this video was useful to you in some way, and if you enjoyed watching me struggle a little bit, please go ahead and hit like and subscribe, and tune in next week to an awesome, hopefully awesome off-road trip. Till next time, this has been Anchor Overland, out.